What's up, guys? Dylan Rush here, joined today by the founder of Detroit Urban Survival Training, Director of Operations of Detroit Threat Management Center, viral social media sensation, Commander Dale Brown. How are you doing, Dale?
Great. How's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. I just have a couple questions to ask you. I'm very curious about your rise to stardom, but your life, just in general. Where were you born and raised? Were you always right here in the D?
Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Yep. And what were some of your interests as a kid? Did you always know you'd grow up to be this Detroit Urban Survival Training, or was there sports? What was it?
No, I wanted to be a professional roller skater, I think, or a
Really?
professional skier
Yeah.
later. First was roller skating, then it was skier, and then it was martial artist. So I got into the warrior training ism. So then I wanted to be a Bushido warrior.
I know you're a very busy man. Do you still have time for these hobbies, these passions, skiing and rollerblading and whatnot?
I do not.
You don't. So I read about your knowledge of arts, your firearm training. You were an airborne paratrooper.
Yes.
Enlighten me, culture me. I don't know what that is.
That means in the United States Army, that means you jump out of airplanes that are flying just fine, or helicopters. And in my case, I jumped out of both airplanes and helicopters.
And you did this overseas, or you did this in America?
Only in the States. Only in the States.
Only in the States.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you were a private investigator as well.
Yes, I was
So,
licensed private investigator. So I did bounty hunting as well as investigating people, conditions, illegal activity, as well as spouses. I did a lot of different things as a private investigator.
and this
Back
was in the 90s. And this was in Detroit,
No, that was in Virginia.
Virginia. Okay. And the airborne paratrooper, was that in the 80s? Was that the 90s?
90s. Mm-hmm.
90s. Okay. So I read that you created, and forgive me for mispronouncing this,
Yep, very close.
Eclecticon survival system founded in 1993. What can you
Yes.
tell me about that?
So that's the actual training system that I created. That is the combination of many different styles and systems. So it's eclectic, meaning a blend of styles, and KN is a Japanese suffix, which means system in Japanese. So I liked a lot of Japanese systems at the time. Kyokushin is my favorite martial art overall. I also could be because I like my instructor. He was really a really talented individual. And so I named the system that because I like the Japanese discipline and structure in their training. And I train in different systems, Korean and some Chinese and some American systems. And I liked Japanese systems. In my training system that I created, I thought it would be best if we learned in one place how to use a knife, a gun, a baton, a firearm, fighting on the ground, fighting standing up, and knowing the law. So that was the reason I first started creating my system. Was I understood that people did not know the law. So we're being taught how to defend ourselves. We're being taught how to kick people, how to choke them, how to use a baton, a knife, a pistol, a shotgun, a rifle, how to fight on the ground, fight standing up, by different systems. But none of them are teaching us legally when we can do that. What does the law say we do? What should we not do legally? And how do we interact with police and legal system? So if you don't know those things, it's detrimental to your freedom and your financial future. And so it's vital that we understand the law as it relates to all actions and inaction. So, sometimes you can get in trouble for not doing something just as much as doing something.
So the reason I did this is because I felt like you put all these things together. There was all these different things, and you had all these knowledge of all these different areas, and you were the one that actually put it all together in 1993 and founded this system.
Correct. And so what I did was I studied all the systems that I could, because I found that, in my opinion, all systems have something good to offer. All training systems, every kind of martial art or traditional system, traditional martial arts, fighting system, every single one of them had something good to offer. But none of them were complete. And none of them were trying to be complete, as far as I was concerned. None of them were trying to be an actual system for your survival. They were trying to show you how to fight from this country's perspective, or how to survive during a certain time period within that country's history. They're not sharing the knowledge that would associate with survival in that modern time, even in any of those countries where martial arts came from. So it doesn't matter what country of origin any traditional art comes from, none of them represent the modern fighting system or survival from that culture or that community today.
So I
And
read,
when I want to change that.
and I read that in 1994, you taught families protection, how to protect themselves. So I had this quote. It says, multiple apartment building owners agreed to provide free apartments to trained volunteers in exchange for protection of their violence-ridden buildings.
95, yep, that's when it started.
95. So you you helped a lot of trained volunteers get free apartments, and they, in exchange, protected buildings from violence. So it's a win-win for all parties. I read that local businesses in the area, they gained more money, crime rates went down, all because of the system that you were promoting and putting out there to the public.
Yes, because I had to train them. And so all I didn't have any money. So I would train them, and the people then would know what they should and should not do, how to disarm knives and guns, how to fight multiple aggressors when they have to. And as a result of real life conflict, I was able to learn a lot more. So, we had to deal with being shot, being stabbed. We had to deal with people that are multiple attackers attacking us out of weight class. So, we would always be outnumbered. There would always be, individuals that would start off fighting, but they're always going to resort to weapons at some point because, as you know, here in the United States, weapons are common. So when we would win the fist fight, the takedowns, would kick them, beat them down, the gang members would automatically go get guns. And so we automatically had to train with firearms in order to prepare to protect people in real life in the United States against actual violent criminals. So in my system, you had to look at defending yourself full spectrum. That's all weapons under all conditions. And then our training is for real life. So you're going to actually get a free apartment. You're going to protect that apartment. And when we need it, we're going to all come together and protect the building together. So it'll be 10 of us responding.
That is incredible.
And that's when I started. And when I went to the first building owner, the real reason I started the actual community service side of the training was because a woman, I should say, a mother, was chased off a bridge. She was actually pulled out of a car by 3 men while a crowd cheered for her to be killed. And I thought that, if I had trained students on that bridge, if I would have been on that bridge, I could have stopped this woman from being killed in front of her daughter. And so that's one of that's the most important reason why I switched from thinking about business to thinking about community safety and community service. I thought, you know what? Maybe that I'm not supposed to make money. Maybe I'm not supposed to be a business. I'm supposed to come here to Detroit and make a difference. And so I started focusing on one thing, which was how do we get the knowledge into the hands of the people that need it the most, the poor people.
Mhm.
And so I started on the east side of Detroit, and I ended up in this area they called Crack Alley, which is, I lived in a building that's like 17 stories, which was on a major street called East Jefferson at the time. East Jefferson, this buildings there is like middle class buildings, but all the buildings around there in the neighborhood were people at risk. And these are people that had lower class jobs, just barely surviving. And 90% of the people were just regular people trying to survive, but 10% were actual violent criminals, home invasions, murders. There were murders every month. There were home invasions every day. And so I thought we in America, we shouldn't be living this way. I thought, there should be no family suffering like this. And so I tried to do the best I could to get people to work with the police and to get the police to work with people. And what I found out was that that's not really going to be helpful, because when police are focusing on prosecution, that's really the opposite of protection. Protection prevents violence from happening. And you can't really arrest people if you prevented things. And the police have metrics, which is based upon measurement of crime. So if you're preventing the crime, you have no measurement of success in the current metrics for law enforcement. So what I was essentially asking police to do was do something that's not in their best interest, something that stops them from having criminals to arrest. And that doesn't really make sense. If you think about it, your goal is to achieve success in your situation. In law enforcement, their job is to enforce laws that have been broken, to take people into custody and prosecute them. And so that's not going to happen if you prevented them from doing crimes. And so our goal as an organization that I created, and that at the time, it's VIPERS. VIPER stands for Violence Intervention Protective Emergency Response System. VIPER system is the bodyguard training system. And it's based upon love of humanity, not money. It's you have to care about people. You have to love people in order to protect people properly. You have to look at people as your family. If you go in a situation in danger and you're thinking about your retirement, you're thinking about your job, you're thinking about your hourly rate, you're thinking about getting paid at all, you won't be able to fully put yourself at risk because you're trying to make it home safely. And what I had to accept a long time ago was that when I go out and protect these people, there's not going to be any money. They're poor people. And the likelihood of me being killed is likely. So I had to already accept the fact that I would be killed and not focus on how to preserve my life. The point was to preserve lives of others. So as a warrior, I accepted my death already. So it was not a big deal for me. I signed up for that. So I didn't care about money. There was no money. What I cared about was, how do we stop these home invasions and murders of these people? These are women, children, old people, senior citizens, in some cases, entire families. But there's no one to help them. And at first, I thought the police and the people just need to learn how to get along. So I thought the people needed training to understand how to talk to police officers, how to give reports. So I thought of myself as like a liaison at first. I wasn't trying to actually create an organization to go protect people. I thought I could just teach them and then protect themselves. And that's just not true. And what happened was I ended up in a situation where a young lady needed help. She was attacked. I did not help her because I was told not to. And as a result, when I tried to get her assistance from police in that situation, I was unsuccessful, and her mother was unsuccessful. So at that point, I realized that if I want to see change, I have to make that change happen. So I have to become an agent of change. So that's what I did. I made the change. I switched from being a liaison, a person that wants change, to the person that actually makes the change happen. And what gave me my focus was love of people. I looked at it like, what if I was a kid who grew up in that community? What if my mother wasn't a doctor? My mother was a captain in the Army. What if my mom was just a hardworking person at a gas station or a store? And I grew up in this neighborhood. And I didn't grow up, I was in Germany in high school. I had a good life. As a kid, I was enjoying life in Europe and having a great life. And I don't understand why any kids have to suffer. Why does any kid in the United States have to live in a substandard way where they feel unsafe, where they could be killed in their house, where their mothers could be killed in their homes while they're sleeping? There's literally nothing keeping them alive and safe. So instead of complaining about the police or complaining the police didn't do this, or trying to figure out why the police didn't do that, I just created an organization using the training that would go out and create the safety that we all needed to have a better quality of life for the families.
That is so admirable. I mean, you just said so much to respond to, but simply put, the average kid, at least my age, the average person, I'm a 21-year-old, thinks of you as a social media sensation. And if they don't know you, that's all they think. The fact that you did all of these great, amazing things for your community and for the United States before social media even existed, before the thought of social media was even in its heads, it's incredible. And people are missing that.
Right.
And that's why I wanted to do this
Crazy.
interview. Exactly what you're doing right now is to put your story out there and let people know that it's not just a bunch of Instagram reels and TikToks and whatnot. Like there's some real life stuff.
Yeah, I don't mind them making fun because at least it makes them look, right? So you can make fun and have fun. It's fun to me. I like making fun. I love humor. So if people cut into me, I'll cut back into them. We can have fun all day. Remember the comedians were making funny videos about me. I jumped into the videos with the comedians. So I enjoyed it. I went to heaven with them. And so I enjoyed it. It's fun. But what it does, it makes people see things they wouldn't normally look at. And the things they're seeing can save their lives. And I know that because after 27 years, 28 years now, I got a lot of feedback from people. People have told me stories, police officers and civilians, where they use the training, they save their lives and they save the lives of others. And so for me, it's just about how do I get the information, the knowledge, the skill out there so people can understand psychology, law, and the skills required to create the best possible nonviolent outcome as possible.
Just like anybody, you mentioned you have some people that maybe some doubters, just like anyone in the public light, there are going to be haters that come along with the supporters. When people like Bass Rutten, I'm sure you know Bass Rutten, I'm sure you heard what he said. He said that guy's going to get someone killed. When you hear something like that, after all the great things you've done for your community, how does that make you feel? Or how do you react to something like that?
Well, first of all, I'm in such shock and awe that someone of Bass Rutten's legend is saying my name, I'm just shocked. Like, I'm like, wow, Bass Rugen knows my name.
That's how I'd be.
Right. Like, oh my God. He says, and I break my neck if I try to get out of a rear naked choke. I don't care. I'm just glad he knows my name. I would love to meet him one day.
Yeah.
It's an honor. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not mad. I'm just glad to know him. You know, you're like, wow, I wish it was better circumstances. I wish him to come to my school so I can give him a tour and we can do some training so he can actually see it himself. But, you know, for me, I'm not offended by anyone's antics because remember, we do this for real in real life. So we protect right now about 5,000 families in Detroit and 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So these are people that are alive because of us. And they pay us every month because we keep them alive and safe. And if we're not successful, if our training didn't work, number one, we'd be dead. And none of us are dead. In 27 years, I've had over 3,500 team members. These are students that train and go out and protect people. And none of us have been killed. 6 of my people have been shot. Multiple team members have been stabbed. In every situation, we stabilized our wounded, transported to level 1 trauma hospitals. And at no time do we end up with court dates as a result of our actions towards these people. So no matter what level of force we had to use every level of force. We've had to use, as civilians, we're a private organization, we've had to use every level of force to defend people's lives and to protect our lives as well. And at the same time, we've had no court dates, no lawsuits. None of us got prosecuted for things we had to do to people. And we had to do things to save lives, to save our life and lives of others. So in saying that people are poking fun at the training, that's because they don't know the training they have is not real for real life survival. If I was a great fighter in any karate system, any type of martial arts that's traditional, that would not prepare me for real life survival in the street where there are laws, there are guns, there are knives, there are multiple aggressors. And that's because those training systems, and I train in many different systems, they're not for that. They were never, ever designed for the use outside in the street with your shoes on, with your family, with knives and guns, and showing you how to survive against Americans with knives and guns. So let's be clear that these people do not know what they're talking about. So I can't really be offended by them because it's like a child or someone without knowledge that's making fun of something that's real when they think that what they're doing is real, but they will never go outside and use it in real life. So they never go out and actually go outside their school, for example. And I always tell those people, like, you should use your skills to go protect communities. I don't care if you're in Brazil, if you're in the United States, Canada, if you're in Africa, Europe, Asia, go outside, take your training and go protect the community around your school. Just start there. And let's see what happens. Let's see if you can actually help the people around you. But know this, if you plan to go out and use physical force on people and you don't know the law, you are 99% likely to go to jail and be prosecuted. In the United States, you're going to get sued and get prosecuted. If you do not know the law and you go out and use your skills from any fighting system, you are definitely going to get locked up. 100%. It's going to happen. That's why no schools do that. And I agree that they shouldn't until they understand the law. And I don't mean law as it's written, it's how it's applied. If you don't understand how to articulate threat properly as a civilian, you are going to make mistakes that are catastrophic for your family and your future. This is why we encourage people to come to Detroit. We have people that fly from other countries to come here to train here, just to learn how they can take the training back to their country and protect themselves and their families the way we have done successfully for the past 28 years. And when people make fun of it, it brings attention to the training, to me. Then I redirect the training, redirect people's attention to the training as soon as possible, because it's not about me. I'm not a social media person. I don't think about social media. Social media is thinking about me, but that's never my purpose or my point. So that's why I never call my school of training the Dale Brown urban survival training, or the Brown system, or Dale's tactics, or Dale defense, right? It's called urban survival training because it's what it is. It's where we got it from being an urban society and dealing with violent gangs, violent individuals, people with mental illness, people with guns and knives, and people that outnumbered us 2, 3, 4 to 1. So when we have to go into conflicts, they'd have to outnumber us. We've never had a fair fight. No one ever fought us 10 on 10, 5 on 5, 2 on 2. it's like 4 or 5 of them then to one of us, or 10 of them to 5 of us, or in some cases we had to deal with 40, 50, 60 people fighting 20 or 30 of us. So this is the reality of dealing with protecting communities and people from violent gangs. When you're dealing with violent gangs, they attack you in a gang. They don't attack you one at a time. So you've got to understand how to deal with groups. And of course, the law is just as important as your skills. Otherwise, you destroy your life.
You just said you don't think about social media. Social media thinks about you. That's an awesome quote. I'm definitely going to use that quote. That was a cool one. But I got to ask you, I just saw Odell Beckham Jr. dressed as you in the background. One of my favorite players. I'm assuming the answer is no, but I got to ask, did you ever imagine in 1994, when you're doing all this stuff in the 90s, in the later 90s, that you'd ever reach this level of stardom?
No, absolutely not. No, I'm in shock.
You're in shock, right? I mean, how long has it
Totally.
been now? How long has it been? Like a year or two that
2
you've been?
years. Been like 2 years now. About 2 years ago, people started stopping me. My wife uploaded some stuff on TikTok, and I was like, like this earpiece, this is how we dress for work, man. This is
Yeah,
at work.
yeah.
This is not my internet uniform.
Like
This is my work uniform.
Yeah.
I just did some videos when I was like in the school here, right? It's where I'm at in my school. And I just did some videos one day. We're like, let's do some videos. Okay, let's do some videos. I was on YouTube since 2009, I think. Yeah, 2009 is when I first started uploading videos to YouTube. And I had like 10 friends. My wife goes on TikTok, uploads a couple videos, like this thing called TikTok. I was like, oh, the thing with girls dancing. It's a like girl dancing thing, isn't it? Like people dance on there. It's like, yeah, but let's just do it anyway. I was like, okay, whatever. So we did these videos, and next thing you know, people started going crazy. We started getting, we had 2.8 million followers in less than 3 months.
Oh my, that's crazy.
And the haters went crazy. I never knew there was many haters in the world. These people started calling my house, calling my business, threatening us. It's unbelievable. I'm still in shock. Like how, like you have time to hate like that? Like how do you get all that time? Don't you have anything to do? They don't.
It's ridiculous.
Yes, they have time just to just harass you. And they don't understand, like we protect domestic violence victims, stalking victims, crime witnesses for free for 27 years in every jurisdiction. So men that want to kill their ex-wives, sometimes wives want to kill boyfriends, but other times it's males or females that want to kill their partner. We protect everyone in every jurisdiction and no court dates. So we keep everyone alive. And in our 28 years, we've never had any of the people we protect for free, the families we protect for free, senior citizens we protect for free, get injured or killed after us protecting them. So that's what we're proud of, is what our training yielded. What matters is what you do with your training. Not that you have training, not that you have a training piece of paper for training. The reason why you have to have a piece of paper and you have to have competitions is because you're not. What's that?
So you could apply the training in real life.
Yeah, that's what I think you should do. But the reason why you have pieces of paper and you have competitions, see if you can break bricks or if you cause someone to give up in a sport situation, is so you have some way of having a measurement to see if you have some skill set, right? To some degree. But in my opinion, the true test is not inside of a controlled environment with rules. The laws should be the only rules that dictate your action. And if you're going to injure yourself and injure others and possibly get killed, it should be for a really good reason, like protecting the lives of those who are in need, meaning people that are actually in danger. There's nothing better than stopping someone from killing someone. It's the greatest feeling ever. And I've done it many times. My staff members done it more than me. And that's because I've had thousands of team members. So we have been protecting people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 28 years. And it's a great feeling to see people alive and safe. And then for you to physically interact and stop violent people, stop killers from killing. There's no greater feeling than that. None. There's no championship. There's no awards. There's no kind of competition could ever compare to you saving a life. And what I do is create an organization so that I could have people out there, like when I'm on this podcast, my staff members are out protecting people right now, keeping them alive and safe, keeping the criminals out of the community. And away from the houses, away from the people, and doing it non-violently. So our training system is the only training system that's not just designed from real life America meaning we actually use it here in the United States in real life. That's what forged the training. So learning how to deal with guns and knives is fine, but you got to test it. And that's what we got a chance to do because we have this things called these volunteers. We call them thug animals. Some people call them gangs. And without them, I wouldn't know if the training is real or not, right? I mean, it's one thing for us to go through training, but it's another thing for someone to actually attempt to deceive you and kill you, to deceive and kill others, and you stop them. That's the greatest feeling, man. And some of the most dangerous things we've ever been involved in, dealing with shootouts and stabbing, getting shot, getting stabbed, and having to use firearms and knives to defend our lives and the lives of others, and creating a lot of bloodshed in cases where there's no other choice. The greatest thing is to get a chance to use your skills in real life and to bring to closure extreme violence. There's no greater feeling. It is I do get a high from it, but what I learned how to do was, instead of celebrating violence, we celebrate creating peace. And in order for you to protect people properly, you have to love people. And that's what I learned the most. The most important thing is love of humanity. That's what makes you a great protector.
And violence is the enemy, right? Violence is the enemy of humanity.
That's right. Violence is the true enemy of humanity. And love of humanity is really the key to you protecting people. You have to love people. So it's not about fighting. It's really about you taking on risk, putting yourself at risk for someone for no money. You're not in a relationship. You don't know these people, but you're literally willing to possibly die and have to kill to keep them alive and safe. And there's no greater feeling than actually doing that for them, knowing that if you were not there, they would have been killed. Entire families. And it's a great feeling, man. Yeah. And I learned how to do it peacefully. So what I'm saying, what I'm most proud of is not just that we kept people alive and safe, but now what I'm sharing is how can you do that without resorting to extreme violence and believing in righteous violence. I used to believe in righteous violence. So if you offended me or you did something that was immoral or illegal, I had an obligation to attack you and use physical force to dominate you. And that's not true. You don't actually have to use violence to stop violence. If you want to, you can create the belief in the violent person. There's no opportunity. We call it opportunity denial. This is what I bring to the table. A new way of thinking. How do I create a situation where we take a violent individual situation or group and we stop them from continuing in a way that creates a nonviolent outcome? So if you know how to read body language properly, if you know how to project body language properly, you can use that to either create a legal, justifiable use of force that results in death, or you can use your understanding of psychology and biomechanics and your understanding of projection to create peace. So it's a choice, creating peace by design.
My next question was going to be, what role does human psychology play in your training? And clearly there is a big role for that. Here's some stupid questions that I always have to ask. Did you see the Halloween costumes this year of you?
Yes, that was so cool. I was going to do them. We were going to create it. We didn't create it. We're going to try to do it this coming year. Yep. We were actually talking about it for months. We just got so busy. You know, I was at University of Michigan on the football field. I used to be an ice boy. I went to Pioneer High School. Yeah, Pioneer High School is right across from University Stadium, the big house, the biggest stadium in the United States. It has 110,000 seats. Wow. There's 110,800 people there. I got a chance to talk to the crowd.
Really? With a fight? That's crazy.
And when I was 16, I was an ice boy. I used to bring ice to the stands there. And I never would have thought I'd be on the football field ever. Nor would I ever think football players want to come up and do tactics with me. And police officers and Michael Phelps. And
real quick. I think you deserve all these things you're getting. You've earned it. But a quick shout out to Mrs. Brown, because if it weren't for her putting out those couple TikTok videos, you know, you'd still be doing all this great work for 26 years, but not as many people would know about it. Of course, she brought you into our homes and into our lives. So
definitely. Yeah, man. So without my wife, she and her idea for TikTok, this would not have blown up. I mean, I started getting 2 years ago, people started stopping me in the streets, wanting to take pictures, flagging me down while I'm out working, you know, protecting community. So I'm driving around and they're like, hey. I'm like, yes, what's going on? They're like, can you pull over? My kids want to take a picture with you. Okay, that's weird. What? Sure, fine. It's fine. I have no idea why you'd want to do that, but okay. I'll take a picture. Hi.
That's so funny. That's
Right. I mean, if it makes you happy, I'll do it. Like, I like to see people happy.
Are you
So
used to it by now though? After
I'm
2 years?
sorry.
Are you used to getting stopped like on the street and
No,
stopped?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
everywhere,
Yeah.
everywhere. Police officers, regular people, kids, old people. Uh, it's like 99% males, but it's like older, young people. It's whole families. Super positive, man. I've never seen so much positivity in my life, and I'm glad for it. I mean, I like to see people happy, so it's great to see when I walk up. People are just super happy, man. So I'm really glad to experience that from stars. I just met Flavor Flav 3 days ago.
Me
And as soon
too.
as
I
I met
met
him,
him a couple weeks ago. That was cool.
yeah, Flavor Flav was like, "Hey, man, I love your stuff. I'm a fan of yours." I was like, "What? Flavor Flav is my fan. I'm a fan of Flavor Flav."
Yeah, of course, of course. I think the
Yeah.
best video you ever made. I mean, I know it was just a joking, it was a funny one, but the Bellator 288 Daniel James with Twista
Wasn't
video.
that funny?
Oh my, that was hilarious. I watched that 10 times.
Yes.
So my dad, my mom, my parents, that was when they were introduced to you, was that video, and they thought it was hilarious.
Yes. I thought, man, and I was glad that I met him because several reasons. One, it's great to see these giant guys, especially ones with training, who don't believe in my tactics. And he was blown away. He was
Mhm.
like,
You could
"What?"
tell. You could tell. You could
He
tell in
was,
the video.
yes, it's genuine, man. He was shocked,
Yep.
which I can appreciate. I like when people are non-believers and they come full circle. Um, and I don't have to hurt them. Like
Yeah.
he learned it. They can feel the pain, but not to get injured, right?
Mhm.
And same thing with his wife was like, yeah, he was talking trash while I was in Russia, and they said he could beat all these moves. We did everything with them. We did gun disarms, knife disarms. He
Really?
was, wow, I can't believe this is real. This is
Hmm.
amazing. Now you hear what he said about Bellator 288? Did you
What?
see his Instagram post?
Mm-mm.
Man, it's the greatest story ever.
I'll go
This
look at. I'll go see
Bellator
that.
288 is the greatest story, and you're about to be the first podcast to hear about why Bellator 288 was the best event in the history of Detroit urban survival training.
Tell me. I was there and I don't know.
Daniel James.
It's because you sat in between Sabatello and Stotts, or is it because you met Ben Askren?
That was cool too.
Yeah.
That was really cool to meet all those guys. And those guys didn't fight till I wasn't in there. When they were in the ring, that's when they pushed each other.
Yeah.
When I was with them, there was none of that.
You remember when I asked the question? I asked them if they were going to incorporate some urban survival tactics into their training camps.
Yes, man. And did you see the statement he made? Daniel James said in an Instagram post. I caught him in the lobby of the hotel after it was over, right? And later on the night after he won, he was telling people, "Man, I did this thing. I saw dust. I remember I was passing out. I was passing. I saw all black, and I was just passing out. And I remember that dust video where the guy was like, reach back and grab the face and do this. He said, I just did that and pushed back, and I got out.
No way. Because that
Yes,
was the
man.
deepest choke I've ever seen someone get out of. I was
I
shocked
thought it
that
was
he got. I
over.
thought it was
I was
over.
sure. I was like, damn.
Over.
I like that guy. He's gonna lose. My guy won the UFC, and I was like, wow, Bellator is gonna be the one where I am on the wrong side, and the guy that I trained with and that I support gets beat. I was like, damn it, man. I was sure it was over. I was sure it was over. When I saw Daniels in that lock, in that RNC, locked in that deeply with hooks, and
it was. How did he get? Yeah. Well, now I know how he got
said,
out.
all I remember is, and he said it in an Instagram post. He said, I reached back. I was thinking about that video, your video where you were in the RNC and you reached back and you grabbed the thing. And I was like, man, it was something like this. You reached back and he said, that next thing you know, it was free. And it worked.
Because he really did do that. He really did. I remember it vividly because I was front row and I watched him do it. Like he was right.
Weren't you shocked? I was shocked, man. You know it's illegal, right? What he did was illegal.
Really?
Yes, but you can't see it because the UFC glove. I mean, because the Bellator glove, the MMA glove was blocking it, right? So the MMA glove is so fat you couldn't see that his fingers were going into the face like this, digging into the bones up in here. So it wasn't the eyes, which is also what you can do if your life's in danger in RNC. You just take your finger, you go right into the eye socket and dig behind the eye. They'll get off you immediately. But if you don't want to hurt them, all you do is dig in the bones, right up in here, right there, and you can also push the nose up too. But he did both. He dug up in the nasal cavity up here, and pushed up in the what's called the orbital cavity.
Mm-hmm.
Pushed up in that bone and pushed up in the maxillary and pushed him off and turned over and pound that guy.
He would have lost. He would have lost if it weren't for you.
Definitely.
Half a
And he
paycheck. You doubled his paycheck because of watching that video and learning.
Yes, and he saw, and listen, he admitted it, man. So I'm trying to, and so I'm like,
He posted
hey,
about it because I need to go find that post.
yes, go find it. I
Wow.
uploaded it too. I screen captured his post and put it up.
Yeah.
But what I'm looking for is, what's his name? Giovanni, the podcaster that does all the interviews.
For
Giovanni.
MMA, for UFC.
Yeah.
It's
No,
not,
it's just for everybody.
not the schmo, right?
Not him, the other guy. He's
Go
big
on.
time. Giovanni is his name. Al Giovanni or something.
Oh yeah, Ariel Hawani.
Ariel Harani. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So now I'm waiting for him to interview me. Where's my interview, man? You interviewed me when it was UFC,
With
right?
Joaquin, right?
And people, yeah, Joaquin Buckley, he won. And so, you need to start doing your interviews now that my tactics have obviously been proven by a heavyweight who's supposed to lose.
Yeah.
Who's not just
big underdog.
Lost,
big underdog.
Big underdog. He was supposed to lose, right? They brought him here to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And he almost did.
Mm-hmm.
And the dust tactic is what got him out.
That is crazy.
So I'm waiting for the podcast, man. What's going on? You're the first podcast. You're
I'm
the
gonna
first
tweet at
podcast.
him.
When was 288? When was Bellator 288?
November 18th.
Okay. So you're trying to tell me since then you couldn't, not one podcast you could reach out, when I've been on everything. I've been on I've been on MMA Junkies. I've been on all these different things. All these podcasts from Canada to overseas to, in this country, all these different fighter things, right? ESPN even did a story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now that you see the tactics worked, you have evidence, right? I think that's the biggest story ever. And
you reached out.
You're the only person that reached out for a podcast that to talk about what's going on. And think about that. All these big, people with all these huge followings, they got nothing to say.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
They messed up. Well, Dale, listen, we got 2 minutes left before we run out of time. I got someone else coming on in 10 minutes. I just got to ask you real quick. First of all, real quick, I just want to say, had a great time. I would love to speak to you again, whether it be weeks, months down the line. I would love to do a part 2 because I still have a bunch of stuff I wanted to ask you. But I got to ask my last question. I finish every interview with this question. You're the first person I've ever interviewed in my life that isn't a UFC fighter or a Bellator fighter, I swear. So I'm interested to get an answer from you for this. When it's all said and done, your career, your training, your teaching, volunteering, all these things, what do you want people to remember most about Dale Brown above all else?
That he helped keep people alive and safe and changed the way the world sees violence. And because of him, the world is less violent, period.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you, Commander Brown. I
appreciate you
taking the time tonight. D.U.S.T Chronicles book is out now. You can go find it on social media and whatnot. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'll reach out.
_Dust.
Destroyed _Dust. Their urban survival tactics.
It's Instagram and Detroit Threat Management Center on YouTube.
Thank you, man. Be good.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for the time, Dale.
Thank you, man.